I've got Sports Information Director at Monmouth College, Mr. Nathan Baliva, for his normal spot. How you doing, Nathan?
Good. You finally gave us a forecast with no rain because we have no home events left on campus.
That's the way I work.
Yeah, thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Right. See, Vanessa's not giving the weather, so you probably.
Well, I really thought you were going to tell me that it was like 18 degrees and about to snow because the last time I had you doing weather, that's what it was like.
That's exactly what it was like.
Yeah.
And also joining us, I got Fighting Scots baseball coach, Mr. Alan Betourne. How you doing, Coach?
Doing good. Thanks for having me today.
First of all, congratulations making the Midwest Conference Tournament.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it was definitely a long season, hard. So excited to have a little bit of relief heading into this weekend.
Yeah, a little ups and downs. But it's baseball.
Sure.
It's always
Absolutely.
ups and downs.
Yeah,
right? No matter what level you're at, it's always
especially us this year. Especially us.
Especially us. Yeah. All right, we'll get back with Coach Betourne, but we'll start with Nathan. How's things at the school, my man? You're kind of took that big breath of relief, right?
Little bit, yeah. I was talking with Michael Blazing after the softball game yesterday, and he said, congrats on getting through the home portion of the schedule we were talking about. And I said, yeah. I said, we got 2, maybe 3 weeks left, depending on who goes somewhere for track as far as those things go. Obviously a big weekend this weekend, and it's all happening in Appleton, Wisconsin and Lawrence, which I know we'll get to. But, so I'm going to head up there with these guys, and we got track up there too. But we've got had a lot of fun this week. We had a track meet on Saturday, which was great. People all over the place. We had 8 schools, and just things going on. It was great to have good weather for that after we had the lightning delays and the last home track meet and all that. But we had some really good success there. Another PR in the shot put from Maddie Boley. I was joking with her. Today's her birthday. It's always the tracks meet's always around her birthday weekend. But she had a song request while they were warming up, and I said only if you're going to go get a PR. And then of course she did. That's what she does.
Because that's what she does.
Yeah. So yeah, they did great with that. We had. It was very windy, so it was kind of weird. They ran the sprints on the other side of the track from where they normally do. So where we were set up on the finish line, it was on the opposite side, which is the visitors, football side for those that are familiar with coming to April's Orange. So it was a little tougher for where I was in the press box doing all the PA stuff to see the finals of the 100 and the hurdles. But the way the wind was blowing, that's what made their results legal.
Oh, wow.
So that's the important part. And they did long jump and pole vault going in the other direction as well as the wind was blowing towards the scoreboard, there at the field. So kind of changed those things up. That also means that some of the throwing, the hammer, the javelin was going into the wind. So those numbers weren't as great as you normally see that they were. But yeah, it was a long day, but a lot of success for track, and now they get ready for conference. We finished up softball yesterday with a pair of home games against Lake Forest, who unfortunately we watched Lake Forest clinch the conference title on our field, so we had to hand them the conference champion banner, which you never really want to do at home. But they were 14-2 in conference, and we played them tough yesterday. It was 2-0 in game 1 with only 1 earned run, and then game 2 was 3-1 going into the 6th, and then we lost 6-1. Kendall Lewis, a senior, homered, which was her first home run of the year and first one since she had her shoulder surgery. So that was great to see. She works for me, and was great to see her go out that way with a home run there. And then we had 2 pitchers, Lizzie Durfee and Alyssa Helfafinger. They both threw complete games, so both pitched well. Lizzie needed 1 more strikeout to get to 100, so she'll start that next year. She's on 99 career strikeouts now to get through. So we had that, and then we had golf. They've played round 1 yesterday down at the SLIAC Championships in Indiana, just south of Indianapolis for that. Round 2 is just about to start. I think our guys tee off at 10:30 and 11 for the 5 that are there. But Cole Revis had the best round yesterday with a 2-over. The first place right now is 6 under for the individual, and we're in tied for 8th place in the team standings out of 14, so kind of right there in the middle.
Good. Softball started playing pretty good, but decent softball here down the
stretch. They definitely ended well. Some of the freshmen had some good stretches at the end of the year, and our pitching really kind of righted the ship. Lizzie Durfee, who missed all of last year with a shoulder injury, really got going about halfway through the season, was able to go deeper into games. Early in the year, she was kind of 3 or 4 innings, and then finished the year with I think 3 straight, maybe 4 straight complete games. She had a shutout run of 12 innings that ended yesterday with the 1 earned run she allowed in game 1 against Lake Forest. And then Alyssa Huffenfinger, too. She had a hamstring injury during the year, missed about a month. And since she came back, I think I had it in the notes yesterday, she had 5 straight outings of at least 5 innings, and the last 3 of those were complete games. So we went through last weekend and yesterday, those three games only using 2 pitchers. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. Local girls had some pretty decent seasons.
Yeah, Carly Ashby led us in just about every offensive category, moving up there on some of those career lists too, like stolen bases and hits and things like that. But 2 years in the program for her, and led us in hits, runs scored, batting average, in overall for those with enough at bats to be qualified. So she had a really good year there at second base, and we had a couple of freshmen with some really solid years too. Shelby Covey behind the plate, who's from the Peoria area with a home run and had a bunch of RBIs. Mackenzie Gerard, who's a third baseman and a catcher, which is kind of unique. And she led us in RBI and had a really good conference season as a freshman out of Jacksonville. So a lot to build on moving into next year. And with 3 seniors, 2 of which played regularly everyday starters, and Kendall Lewis at first base and Grace Wyman in center, and then Abby Winstead was battling some injuries. This year she played yesterday and played a few times down the stretch. Had a really big senior day against Eureka with 3 hits. She's from Morton, so got those 3 seniors, but a lot for them to build on.
Pretty good softball in that Peoria area, looking at the latest high school ICA poll.
Yeah, there really is. There's some good ones, and even over the last few years, I mean, East Peoria has been a powerhouse. Illini Bluffs has been a powerhouse. So we see Rockridge up here, but there's a couple of those in different classes down in the Peoria area, and Dunlap's been coming up. We got a couple players from Dunlap here, and out of the Mid Illini is having a really good year in softball, and it's a great conference for sports overall. Out of the Middle Illini, as the guy next to me can tell you, but they've had some really good women's sports seasons last year. I mean, we all know what Morton's done in basketball. They had their big celebration for Coach Becker yesterday, retiring down there. Really? Okay. But they've dominated the state in 3A for that, and then some of the other schools have had some great volleyball programs, and Metamora right up there with that, and they've just had some really good programs, and we've been able to feed off of that here at Monmouth and get a lot of players, out of that area for a bunch of our different sports and get that success. And, when they're used to winning down there and they bring that, that attitude and that feeling up here, I think that helps our whole program.
What do we got coming up?
This week is we're down. We got golf I mentioned today. They'll finish up tomorrow with round 3, and then we've got the conference championships this weekend. We got baseball starting on Friday against Beloit. We'll get that full schedule today and everything set up there. And then track is Friday, Saturday. They're also in Appleton, which lends to the busy weekend up there in northern Wisconsin at Lawrence. But track's going to start Friday at 12:30, and then Saturday's contest starts at 10:30. I'm going to talk with Coach Woodard this afternoon to do an interview for our social media to kind of preview that. But the men finished second by just a point and a half in the indoor, and the women were right there going into the last race with a chance to win a conference title as well. Obviously, outdoors a little bit different as far as events and people that are there, so you can't really say, oh, we just got to do this, because the events are different and what they run and what they throw and all that kind of stuff. But I think we're going to be ready to compete in both of those and go for another conference title there, and then that's what we've got left is baseball and track.
I spent a whole week in Appleton once. It was the men's fast pitch softball world championship week, the ISC World Championship. So I spent an entire week in Appleton. That's a fun little town.
It's my favorite city that I went to in the Midwest League. The ballpark's great. That the Timber Rattlers play at. The downtown's pretty cool. We had a lot of fun going to different places up there, walking around campus. We went and did that even when I was with the Chiefs, and able to get to a bunch of different places up there. So always had a lot of fun there, and look forward to getting back up there.
Yeah, we played in Kimberly, but we stayed in Appleton.
Yeah, well,
so.
even like what I didn't know until I was in the Midwest League and doing that is the teams that play the Packers stay in Appleton.
Yes.
And they stay right downtown. We used that hotel for the Midwest League meetings one year, and the Giants had just been there when Eli was still with the Giants. They had just been there for like a Monday night game, and then we showed up on Wednesday, and we're all like, oh, maybe this was the all the rooms that the Giants had. And it was the same hotel, which was pretty cool.
We stayed at the same one. The Raiders were in town to
Yeah.
play the Packers. It was, of course, it's the World Tournament, so it's the end of the summer. The Raiders were there because they were playing the Packers in preseason.
Yeah.
So we had a guy on our team that was going around telling everybody he was the Raiders punter. It's a whole other story. It's a whole other story we'll save for another time. But he got a few drinks out of that.
That's
Let me put it
great.
that way.
It's awesome. Love it.
He said,
Love
I
it.
said punter. He's like, do I look like I
Yeah,
play
yeah, what
football?
else am I gonna
I'm a
do,
punter.
right?
He's a
Yeah.
big, tall guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Well, so that's a whole other story.
Yep.
All right, Coach Betourne, tell us about your weekend here with huge weekend with the Scots.
Yeah, finished up there at Ripon, this past weekend. We're going to turn around and go right back up there. That's right, because we stayed in Appleton. So, it was a good hard weekend this past weekend against a good team that was still playing for something. So it definitely felt good on taking that game one. It was a tough game one, late inning, kind of clutch hitting by us there. And then kind of just finishing it, kind of more of a team thing, and we'll leave that kind of behind closed doors there. So we'll talk about that to get them ready.
We'll
yes.
Yeah.
But we're ready to go for this weekend. I mean, it's we got in last night and kind of wanted to reset and told the guys, even though we beat all the teams that are in the tournament with us 2 out of 3, we won the series, and I think everyone's counting us out still. So especially when you get picked 7th in a conference out of 8. So still not over that, and we're still got a lot to prove. I think the guys are really ready to go. I think we're just going to go up there and have fun, just really enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's kind of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Is just to don't press too much.
Yeah.
Don't just relax a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's what got in our way this past weekend. I think we were looking forward to the weekend already, and not understanding that, hey, we're still playing to win this thing, and going up there against Ripon's really hard. It doesn't matter, Eric does a great job. It continues to give us that playoff atmosphere, and that's what hopefully they learned from that this past weekend.
Well, the standings have been so crazy tight throughout almost the entire season. It just seems like every weekend's been big. So you've kind of been playing playoff baseball for a while now.
Yeah, I mean that's like you said, that's baseball, right?
Yeah,
and I think going into this year when everyone was asking who's going to be the top dog, I had no idea. 1 through 8, I think anybody could win. I mean, look what Knox did, taking a series against us, against IC, playing everyone hard at the beginning of the year. I mean, look what happened this past weekend. Grinnell sneaks in, and IC's out, so it just, I mean, it's fun to play meaningful baseball the last weekend. And it's, it's really exciting. It really is.
Yeah. What's the team? I mean, what's the feeling going into this weekend? You feel good? I mean, coming off losing 2 out of 3, maybe a little chip on the shoulder there.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think relief a little bit. I know for us coaches, just to know that we're in, and I think these guys, I think you got the veterans, especially the seniors that have been here, that no one's experienced this on our team as players. And, Raul coming back for the 5th year just to get this done. And, you could kind of see the looks of excitement and then nerves a little bit for sure. But we told them at the beginning, I mean, you should have nerves. If you have nerves, you care, so
exactly.
that's, I tell you, I'm nervous before every game. So, but yeah, I mean, we're excited to practice this week. Hopefully they can focus on baseball. I know we have finals this weekend, but hopefully they can focus on baseball. We're definitely going to do a lot of small group work and a ton of film on Beloit. We played them, so getting that scouting report and just really not thinking too much, just going out there and sticking to our strengths and knowing the adjustments that we need to make.
Well, I know there's probably people out there going, I've heard of scouting reports for other sports, but there is definitely a scouting report for baseball too.
Yeah, there's a ton. I mean, we're very fortunate to have a program called Synergy. So we tape all of our games, and that company breaks everything down by hitters.
Wow.
So we can really kind of narrow it down, like what is Phipps doing when he's ahead in the count, like what does that look like,
There's a
So
lot
you know,
of
yeah, I
tendencies
mean,
in
yeah,
baseball.
it's you know, I'm old school, so we have a lot of paper charts, you know, but Synergy is really kind of, you know, lightened my load on a couple things and made my life a little easier in that department. And then the guys have access to that too, so they're sitting in dorms probably when they should be studying, but they're studying baseball a little bit more, and you know, just kind of see what advantages that we can take. And I mean, as you know, you're watching it throughout the game and seeing anything that you can pick up if it's matchups or anything like that.
Yeah, the same guy that said he was the punter for the Raiders used to sit in our dugout, and he would say, by the end of the first inning, I've got him picked. He would know maybe a different way he held his glove with his wrist. He's like, that's fastball coming. It'll be a fastball. So he would ask everybody, do you want to know? No, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't want to know. Thanks, but I don't want to know. But there are tendencies and stuff that you can pick up.
And
tells.
That example right there, I mean, that's what we're seeing, a slight drop in the arming angle if he's throwing off speed, you know, stuff like that. I mean, those are the stuff that we're trying to teach these guys a little bit more now that we have access to that, and just not paper stuff, you know. So but yeah, I mean, it's you know, it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, potentially the last week of practice, so we're going to enjoy it. Potentially the weekend with these guys, so we're going to enjoy it and try not to press and you know, try to not get too upset at a couple things, but we're just going to go out there and have fun and see what we can do.
Well, I mean, you've already mentioned it. You've taken 2 of 3 from every team in there, so that's kind of in the back of your mind, but kind of in the back of your mind.
That should give the guys confidence, right?
Yeah, sure.
That they deserve to be there, and they should be one of the ones to win this thing. And you know, you look at our overall record; it is below 500, but we played really good teams, and then throw in a 9-game losing streak in there, and you're definitely going to have below 500 record. But you know, coming back and doing what we did in conference and against some pretty good teams and good pitchers and good hitting teams, really. So that should make them feel pretty good.
Tournament play is so important to have depth in pitching. You feel pretty good about that?
Yeah, I really do. There's a lot of guys that have stepped up. Brandon Coates comes to mind. Out of the pen has really stepped up, and then you know, we haven't gotten to throw Villa that much, you know. So you know, so he's waiting in the wings. So we're going to give him a couple inning work probably tomorrow, you know, just to get him loose and ready to go. But you know, still trying to find some guys that can step up, and that's what kind of hurt us not playing that Wednesday game. You know, we're kind of wanting to find 1 or 2 guys to come out of the pen for the tournament. So, but with Z and Toby, and you know, kind of fine tuning some things with Roy, you know. But Coates has been really good. Obviously, Owen Wolf has been great, and then Villa's really in our back pocket, and we got a couple other guys that can kind of go matchups and kind of back each other up a little bit.
A lot of good local talent on this ball club.
Yeah, too. They've been stepping up. You know, Clayton's had a rough start to his year, and he's been stepping up. I think he's hitting above 300 right now. So he did pretty well this weekend. Toby, I mean, you always put me on the spot on the local guys, and I always forget. So he's naming off local guys for softball, and I can't remember how we won game 1 on Saturday. So
hey, at this point, you don't care whether the Trumps is performing or not.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of those guys, I mean, you know, they just really complement each other well. AVP's been stepping up, and it's funny because when we make a substitution in the middle of the game, I just go and tell Nathan it's the usual, and you know, AVP's going to third, Scott's going to short.
And it's funny because the Ripon had softball and baseball on Saturday, and their SID was at softball, because if they had won both games against Grinnell, they would have clinched the 4th spot in softball. So their SID was there. He had a backup person, and they, when he did what he usually does, they put Aiden Parkins at shortstop, and I was like, that can't be right. Well, fortunately, Luke, who works for me, was at the game, and so I texted him and said, AP is not playing short. He goes, no, Alan did what he always does. So I quickly fired off an email to their SID and said, hey, whenever you get to the file, move Parkins to third, move Aiden Scott over to short, and Campen stayed in the game to play second base. I was like, you know, as soon as I saw it, I was like, that can't be right. I was sitting at track, and I saw it pop up, and I was like, that's not right. That's not what he would have done right there. So Sunday was a little different because guys were in spots that when it didn't matter anymore. But, you know, I knew on Saturday that's not what he had done. But, you know, you talk about the local guys with Parkins and Turnquist and a bunch of the others, but baseball roster is a lot like what we see for the football roster or the track roster, where we've got guys in the starting lineup, 2 from Florida, 1 from New Mexico, another off the bench that comes in and plays late, a senior from New Mexico, so 2 there, Nick Villa, who we mentioned, from California, and then you mix in the local guys, you know, Galesburg and the Peoria area, of course, some here from Monmouth, Clayton McCullough from Sherrard, Nate Reed from Chenoa, so it's kind of a mix more than some of the other sports.
Yeah. What's the details for when they play this weekend?
We got
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Friday
for the
morning.
first,
Yeah,
for the
9
first
a.m.
game
Yeah.
against Beloit, and then Lawrence will be playing Grinnell. Then winners will play, and losers will play on Friday, and then they'll set the schedule for Saturday. And it could be a 5-game weekend, could be a 3-game weekend, could be somewhere in between, depending on coming out of the losers bracket, winning both on Friday, and then winning. But yeah, you you can lose twice, so you can go all the way through onto Saturday and do all that. But yeah, we'll have everything on the website. I plan on going with them and being up there, so we'll get everything covered on Twitter and Instagram and get updates there and then get everything ready to go.
All right, my man. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
You bet. That's head coach Alan Betourne with the Monmouth College Fighting Scots baseball program and SID Nathan Baliva.